So it's been, what, 8 years since we last saw Johnny English?
Yes.
What persuaded you to come back?
Well, I'd been keen to come back in that, I'm very much part of the script writing and creation process of any film that I do, and I was very keen after the first Johnny English movie, which was a good success, to come back someday with the character, because I felt as though there was more to do with him. I thought he was a funny character. I thought he had some amusing fault lines in him that were worth exploiting more. And we sat down almost straight after the first movie. In 2004, we had the first script meeting, believe it or not, for this film.
Oh, wow.
And it's taken, 7 years to get as far as we have, just because I got distracted by other things. But
You're like Terrence Malick. Take 7 years between films.
Yeah, exactly. I hope not to take quite that long. I mean, we did do another movie. We did a Mr. Bean movie in 2007, Mr. Bean's Holiday, which we decided to do. So anyway, it's come along. I think it's, and we felt as though there was a better movie to be made. I mean, that, I suppose, is the best motivation for trying to write a sequel of any kind and at any time, is the belief that you can just do something a bit better.
Your character has a unique yet effective fighting style in this film. What would you call it?
I'm not sure what kind of style do you mean?
Well, he's, I don't know, it's sort of a whatever works kind of style?
Yes, yeah, exactly. Well, of course, he's a bit older than he was. He's 8 years, and we go with this idea, which I was very keen to do, really, was to acknowledge, in many ways, the advancing middle age of Johnny English, and to say, with age comes wisdom. And that basically means not necessarily confronting a problem, but just walking around it.
Yes.
Seems like the better option if you're a bit older. If you're 24, maybe you could confront it head on, but if you're 54, then maybe you should be a bit more circumspect. So, he's very good at finding the way around confrontation, which I think it's something from which we could all learn.
Yes. What I learned is in this movie is that there can be sophisticated fighting styles, but nothing works quite as well as a good kick in the crotch.
Yes. There's a lot of kicks in the crotch. In fact, when I was watching the premiere in London last week, and I thought, oh my goodness me, we used that, the ball kicking joke quite a lot. I was surprised how often it was reprised during the narrative. But it forms a pivotal part of, it bookends the movie, I suppose you could say, because it's Johnny English acquires a certain skill during time in a Tibetan monastery, and it all comes good towards the end when he faces his nemesis and has to deal with him.
Yes, it's essential to the film. There's not a superfluous crotch kick.
No, not to say, absolutely. They're all important. You
have a remarkable sort of mastery over your facial muscles.
Right. Yes. Right.
Stuff like that. Is that something that you've always been able to do, or is that an acquired skill?
Yeah, it's not acquired. But it was discovered. It's something that I didn't discover really till I was 20 or 21, when I sort of discovered my face, if you like, for the first time, and the fact that I seem to have what people in Europe, non-English people in Europe, tend to call mimicry, which it isn't quite. It's not really mimicry in my opinion, as in impersonation, but it's just an ability to, for your face to reflect some feeling that you want to convey. I suppose it's acting to a certain extent. Yeah. I hope, rather than just face pulling for the sake of it. But at the same time, I discovered that that my face was a very expressive medium for me, and I suppose I do exploit it to the full. But as I say, it's been years since I've examined my facial expressions. I just hope that what I think my face is doing is what it's doing, now. So I don't practice in front of a mirror like I used to, when I was very young, but I don't do it anymore.
Is there a chance that one day that we might get a Mr. Bean Reborn?
I doubt it. You must never say never, and I'm rather keen not to say never, but my inclination is not to do Mr. Bean again. Just because I don't want to see him get old. I like the idea of remembering how he was when he was a bit younger than I am now. And the problem, Mr. Bean can be immortal, but I'm certainly not. I'm very mortal, and therefore I know if I play him again, he's going to look quite a bit older than he was. And I think there comes a sort of time limit, really, on how long you can do very childish humour. I mean, I know you might say, well, Johnny English, you know, it's a pretty childish humour in that, but at least it's done from the perspective and the point of view of a character who at least thinks he's being rather mature, whereas Mr. Bean is a child at heart. He's a child trapped in a man's body. So all the jokes that, you know, involving Mr. Bean are fairly sort of silly, childish things. And I think once you get beyond your 40s, I think you start to lose the authority to do humour that's too childish.
Mr. Bean has almost 16 million fans on Facebook.
Right, that's good to know. I wasn't aware of that.
There might be a groundswell.
A groundswell of you. Well, as I say, you must never say never. And maybe an old Bean, you know, would be, would be quite a funny thing to revisit. But I think maybe he should be a lot older than he is now, than he would be now.